The idea to improve Nepal's economy is to ship live Canadian lobster. Domestically, the price ranges from $6 to $10 a pound. This varies quite violently over the season, but when shipping to China, the price increases to $7 to $15 a pound. This has been quite substantial to the Canadian lobster industry exports, grossing over $1 billion in 2011 and subsequently 2012, 2013, and possibly 2014. The largest market is in China, which nearly depletes the stock annually. The population is high due to the overfishing of its predator, Atlantic cod. A brief history of the lobster industry. In 2005, the lobster industry started to suffer due to high lobster stocks. This drove the price down quite low, and lobster fishing became not as profitable due to the rising gas costs and the same price of bait, whereas drop in the price of actual goods. However, around the same time, China becomes more affluent and the Australian rock lobster stocks become depleted. China, without a lobster to munch on, find the cheap Canadian lobster and find it a worthy substitute. Since then, they have been nearly depleting our stocks, and we are actually having trouble shipping all of it to them, especially around the New Year. The Chinese New Year is one of the biggest times for Canadian lobster. The proposed method to ship to Nepal would be shipped via Air Canada Freight, or another freight airline. Air Canada Freight is already shipping lobsters to China to meet the Chinese demand, and as it is seen as still profitable, it would make a very good way to ship via the air freight. Another reason to choose air freight would be because it needs to be directly to Nepal cities, and since Nepal is a landlocked country, the only way to get there directly would be through air flight. Nepal makes a great candidate to ship lobsters to, as it is very close to China, which has already proved to be successful with the lobster trade. Nepal also has a very large tourist industry due to either its mountains or its natural beauty. And a large portion of the tourists are Canadian and Chinese. Both of those markets already have a taste for Canadian lobster, and theoretically, if they were to go to Nepal and see Canadian lobster on the menu, they would choose to buy it and eat it. The benefits to Nepal is that Nepalese restaurants can charge a lot more for the Canadian lobster, as it is a high-quality product and a sought-after product. Chinese who frequent Nepal may spend more money on the lobster, as the Chinese have gathered a large taste for Canadian lobster, as they've nearly depleted our stocks annually and are pretty much who we supply to almost all our lobster. The Chinese may also visit Nepal solely because of the Canadian lobster, as it is quite the high quality, high sought after product, but may in fact be depleted in their regions, whereas in Nepal they will have a healthy stock ready for them to chow down on. The benefits of the Canadian lobster industry is that it's another market for it to exploit. It's another way to make money, as it might be a small but dependable market, as tourists always go to Nepal, unless of course there's another recession, but small, dependable. And Nepal may take the canned lobster off our hands, which unfortunately sells poorly to China and not as well to Canada, but they may take a liking to it, which would free it from our suppliers. The challenges for shipping lobster in Nepal is that lobster is a very niche market targeted for tourists or wealthier urbanites, and since the majority of Nepal is rural, you don't get any access in there. It is also a landlocked country, so it doesn't have seafood in its diet, so the middle class may not be as accepting to seafood, as it is quite the unknown. However, the enticing exotic nature of it may cause them to eat it. There may be also import laws and customs that might be stricter than China, or higher taxes and costs. It may also be difficult to convince suppliers to move lobster to Nepal instead of China, as China is a fairly dependable and ever-growing market for Canadian lobster, since the rock lobster has been depleted.